Alright, hello everyone.
Alright, hello. This is Metroid Zero Mission Low Percent. I am Scotty. And with me I have Destructor. Oh, whoops. Hold on just a moment. I am not doing this right.
I heard that too. Yeah, he has to mute me on his stream. So, this run is going to be CScottyW playing Metroid Zero Mission on low percent. Yes?
There we go. Okay. Now I can hear you. Alright, let's get going. Yeah, we're... Oop.
Alright, ready to go?
Alright, yeah. Could you give me a countdown?
Okay, sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, Scotty. Alright, so, low percent. In Zero Mission, it's basically finishing the game, at least on normal mode, with 9% of items. Rolls are a bit different when it comes to hard mode. It's just because in hard mode you have less missiles, less supers, and basically less ammo every single time you pick up an extension or something. And we require a certain amount of missiles to finish the game, so in hard we need to pick up one extra missile tank or super missile tank to finish the game, but here we're on normal, nothing changes a lot. But basically you guys need to know that in this category the only thing we'll have at our disposal is 5 missiles. Just as simple as that.
Yeah, so once we pick up missiles, we're going to be sticking with those 5 missiles for the entire game. We're not getting any more for that.
Which will obviously be very tricky to kill all the bosses, since, well, bosses in this game usually have a lot of health, and even if they don't, you will always need to pick up drops from enemies and stuff, so this category is technically, like, on the leaderboards, one of the major categories of this game, but definitely feels like it's not, since very few people have run it, and it's not so many of us have actually run it to a point where we wanted to get to grind for a good time. I think Scotty and I, and probably Minatobi, are the only 3 people who actually cared a lot, quote unquote, on this category.
Alright, so here's our first and only missile tank. And right now we are about to fight the charge worm. And if you do it just right, you can land 2 missiles at once. Unfortunately, that did not happen, though. I'm actually going to wait for drops here. And something that's different about this game from Super Metroid's Low Percent is that I don't actually collect charge beams. That's not because charge beam doesn't damage bosses, but that bosses always give you drops with which to damage them. So you don't need to rely on the charge beam to deal damage to bosses.
So now that Scotty is in this room that we simply call the hive room, you can see that he actually waited for drops. One of the things he could go in PB attempts is that if he gets the double, he will usually end up with a few missiles than the 0 he had. previously on the worm.
No.
So this time he actually opted to wait for the missiles, and oh, that's an extra victory lap. So the thing is in this room that he actually wants 4 missiles at least to 2 things. He wants to keep at least 3 to destroy the last hive, and he wants to keep at least 1 since we have to open up a red door to access bomb later on, and he wants to use this missile instead of just collecting a drop on an enemy next time. Which makes hive room very tricky in low percent. But he makes it through, no problems. A few beeping strat, but no problem. We're in a no danger zone, even while jumping above the first E-tank of the game. We can just refill when com bombs.
I don't have bombs. I tried to do refill glitch.
Nice. You cannot do that yet. One of the things in low percent that may sound stupid, but it's actually way harder than it sounds, especially when you're not playing the game, is resisting your muscle memory. Scotty is a runner that run actually all the categories of this game, so it's not hard for him to just being taken away by his muscle memory and start getting towards an item that he's supposed to take 100%, or like getting behind bombs to take the item, and then you just realize that you're supposed to do low percent, and it just kills the entire run. It's happened multiple times too. I think pretty much everyone who tried to run this category at least once, especially later on when we'll come to Speed Booster.
Yeah, there's a lot of items that the developers put right in your way, so it's very easy to grab them.
So as you guys saw, hive room on the way back is definitely much easier. You can just try to jump into the ceiling to lure the bugs towards the upper side of the room, then you can just destroy the hive that's in front of you. Since we did not destroy all the hives like we would do in 100% or any percent, they all respawn, but there's only one on our way when you want to get out of it, so no problems this time. And obviously we skip charge beam because low percent, as Scotty said, we can get drops pretty much everywhere, so charge beam is not required. Collecting as many drops as he can on his way. Basically, all 9 items that we'll have in this run that are equivalent to the 9% in order are Morph Ball, missiles, bombs, Power Grip. I forgot, yeah, Power Grip, Ice Beam, and then all 3 unknown items that will become all the powerful items that you get after Soothless. We also get Vario Suit, but Vario Suit is given by the game later on, so we don't even need to pick it up. It still counts as a percentage since the game will give it. So far, nothing out of the ordinary for someone who actually runs Metroid Zero Mission. The route in low percent is very, very similar to any percent by all means, except that we will have to maybe take an extra detour, clean a few more rooms than in any percent, simply because there's a specific skip that we cannot really do in low percent due to the lack of items and resources. So it's obviously slower, but the early game is faster simply because we have to take less items than in 80%. So right now, Scotty picking up the... Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say that you might think that Power Grip would be one of those items that isn't required since we can just bomb jump everywhere, as I'm going to demonstrate here. But as I'm going to try to demonstrate here, the developers made Power Grip required by placing a vine blocking the rest of Norfair before you pick up Power Grip. So it actually forces you to go out of your way to pick up Power Grip in every run.
Which is kind of a weird developer design choice, simply because developers actually put so many intended shortcuts that can allow you to just play the game the way you want, and sequence break in a way that's intended, but this one is just impossible to skip, which is kind of weird to some point. But I guess we can be glad about it, simply because power grip is just such a quality of life, and it's such a pain not to have, especially when you're doing randomizers of this game. You just do the entire game without power grip. You have to bomb jump everywhere and do weird things. So in a way, I guess we're all glad for it. So now that Scotty is heading towards Ice Beam, usually in any percent or 100%, you want to keep as many missiles as possible, especially if you're doing specific routes, if you want to keep the heal. But in low percent, it could be hard at some points because you always need to shoot your missiles on enemies, since your beam is just absolutely useless at this point. The beam in Metroid Zero Mission in general is extremely weak, so we rely on missiles to deal damage, except later on in the game when you're doing 100%, you have plasma, wave, etc. But here, since we're doing low percent, we do not have all these beams extensions that allow us to deal more damage. So now that Scotty has the ice beam, he's going to head towards North Air. As I said, same route than for any percent. So we're going to kill Ridley first. Taking the shortcut just as in any percent. And ooh, all right, yeah, that's that really sucks.
Very costly mistake.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's a reset in any run.
Oh yeah, in any runs, the detour is just extremely long. That's a kind of a big time loss, unfortunately. The shortcut usually isn't that hard to take, but sometimes it can just be a bit tricky to get onto the Ripper and grab the ledge. Finally getting me in, so always keeping at a very low missile count, since, well, you cannot say that you have a high missile count when your entire pack is just actually one pack of missiles. But farming a few enemies on his way to the cocoon, since he will need missiles anyway. Trying to rush as much as he can into this room by firing all his missiles. These lines are usually very, very clever when it comes to the missile drops, and now we're on to the first tricky boss fight of low percent, being the cocoon. One of the most infamous boss, whatever the category, and so far Scotty is doing a very good job, getting a few good drops. So every single side has 3 vines, each vine's taking 3 missiles to kill, and he's already got rid of the entire right side, destroying all these little spores that the cocoon is throwing at him to get all the missile drops that he needs.
I have to say, it really is deceptively difficult to hit all the spores when you only have Ice Beam.
Yeah, that's true, because Ice Beam is not that wide, so getting the shots on point can be a bit hard sometimes. But that was a clean cocoon, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty clean for low percent.
RNG was not too bad. One of the things that we have to explain about RNG, the way it works in this game, and especially drops, it is that when you're at full health, the game will tend to give you ammos. When you're not at full health, the game will prioritize your survival and drop you health, and then will care a bit less about your ammos. You can still get missiles when you're not full health, but yeah, when you're at full health, it's definitely the ideal scenario. And now into Ridley. So the thing with the area of Ridley is that it can be very dangerous at some points. Enemies are not dealing necessarily a ton of damage, but it can just spiral out of control, especially in the room that Scotty is about to enter, that side upper corridor. So one of the things that he will do in low percent is that he will just take the underground passageway to skip like half of the room and not having to deal with too many of these side uppers. Unfortunately, a lot of them were already on the left side, but still, that's actually not necessarily faster, but it's way more consistent since this hide uppers, each of them requires 2 missiles to kill, so it's obviously an investment that will not necessarily give you all your missiles back, and you cannot rush through like can do 80% simply because they deal 30 damage per hit, so you will die in 4 hits. A little safety safe before Ridley because we never know what the Screamy Boy has for us. Alright, so what are you going to try doubles on this door? No. So the thing that Scotty does is that he is actually doing a fast eye door. The thing is that he actually put his cannon right into the eye of the door. Usually what people do is that we wait for the door to shoot, then we morph under the beam and shot the eye. What you can do is actually shoot before the door is completely open. When it starts to open, there's a small window from where you can shoot a missile, and then you can morph right under it, which saves a bit of time. So now really as a boss, not too much to say, it is very long and very RNG dependent. The only way to damage it is obviously your missiles, and the only way to get missiles back is for Ridley to shoot his fireballs. Oh, yep. That's why the safety save is indeed a good choice.
It's
I think
very not the best I've ever done at Ridley.
That tail really caught you off guard.
Yeah.
Relay is not necessarily dangerous if you know how to play it. Obviously, I'm not saying that Scotty doesn't know how to play Ridley, but the thing is that, oh, alright, show it to us. Oh, nice try, okay. The thing is with Ridley is that Ridley is dealing a lot of damage, but you can't just stay right underneath him while he's moving through the air. I think you have 2 pixels of leeway when he's right above you, if I remember correctly.
He's right above you whenever he swoops down.
Yeah, you can feel the heat. But 50 missiles are required to kill Ridley, and you obviously have only 5 and no charge beam, so again, you have to rely on these fireballs. Oh, that's a double fireball drop, which is very, very nice. He's going to try every single time. You cannot shoot all 5 fireballs that Ridley is throwing at you, but they're always crashing down the wall towards the door, so Scotty is going to try to shoot them anyway and pick up the missile right when Ridley is just heading back towards the other direction, as you can see doing it. So far, not being at full health actually was still enough for him to get a lot of missile drops. When Ridley is at half health, he turns yellow, as you guys can see, and then I think he turns red when he's around 38 or 40.
Pretty consistent with what we see in other Metroids.
Absolutely.
I don't actually know the health values that he changes stuff.
So far, RNG has been pretty decent, if I may say so myself. I think, yeah, very cool. I think that was a pretty average Ridley, honestly.
Yeah, that was pretty average.
Good patterns at some points. Yeah, the tail hit at the very beginning on the first fight was very unfortunate. Ridley is very dangerous in the fact that a single hit from its tail is 50 damage. I think from the body it's around 40 damage or maybe 50 damage as well. And then I
think so.
Yeah, when he just grabs you with his claw, you have to, I think the way to get out is to do left and right very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you take damage like every frame you're in his claw, just like for a Metroid, and then he starts shooting fireballs at you. So if you're not at full health already, you're dead, as you guys saw. But he made it through, and that's the first boss down. So on his way out of Ridley, as you guys can see, he's using as many missiles as possible to just create a path and not having to jump or freeze enemies. And he still has time to collect all the missiles that he needs on his way, since to get out of Ridley, there are a few missile blocks and missile doors on your way. So there are multiple places from where you can farm these missiles, but if you can get them just while running because you killed the enemy early on your path instead of stopping to farm is obviously a time save. This little missile tank that can be really annoying because you want to pick it up right next to you.
I didn't grab it, did I?
No, you did not.
Okay.
No problem.
I got scared for a moment.
Yeah, sometimes you
wait
don't even
second.
realize. You don't even realize sometimes, or someone just puts it out in your mind. You're like, wait, did I pick it up? No, you did not. It feels so natural to actually pick it at some points, but
yeah,
it's okay. And since we're not picking up eye jump, there are a lot of jumps that are actually much harder than what they look, simply because your movement is much tighter. You have to make use of the power grip and the grip jump in a more intelligent way, simply because you have to take into account all the enemy patterns and stuff. Ice beam obviously helps, since pretty much every enemy might get freeze, or at least lower enemy might get frozen or literally killed in one hit. Especially in this Sprint Star area in the room that Scotty just did. But some enemies will obviously require missiles to just get through. And now we're heading towards Craid. So the Craid area is probably the biggest difference, or at least the only difference when it comes to routing in low percent. Thing is, in Metroid Zero Mission, in 90% at least, there's a very infamous trick that defines the category that is basically called the acid worm skip, when you just go above that lava pit and do some hard bomb jumps to just get over the entire acid pit and not have to kill the acid worm in the right side of Kraid's area. The thing is, in low percent, or at least in 90%, once we kill Kraid, there's a very long room that we have to get through using zip lines. But in 80%, we have speed booster at our disposal to get through it. And in low percent, because we cannot take speed booster, there's a specific way to get through this room doing horizontal bomb jumps. You have to chain. I think I counted once was like 60 or 70 bomb jumps in a row doing HBJs. So the horizontal bomb jump to do the acid worm skip is already like 15 to 20 bomb jumps, and it's already super hard. So doing it with 60 is just more than dumb, and you have flies on your way, so it's not a viable strategy. So the only thing that we can do basically is to activate the zipline and kill the acid worm.
Yeah, I think normal acid worm skip is like doing HPGs like 12 or 13 bombs.
Yeah, something
so
like
it's
that.
like 4 times as long of bomb jump while trying to avoid enemies. So it's just not viable.
So the fight against the acid worm, nothing too extraordinary. You just have to wait for him to shoot these little balls and actually take the drops that you can. 30 missiles are required to kill the acid worm. But basically, you just force him to crash into the block, take the drops, then go to the other side. Scotty has been having very bad RNG so far. Where the thing is that the direction that these little things that the worm is throwing at you can be a bit random at some points. So there's a way that you might actually not get them. And there's obviously an RNG factor when it comes to whether or not the worm will drop you something, or at least the thing will drop you a missile. I think 5 more missiles should do the trick. Oh, actually, unfortunately, missed the last missile. Maybe thought it could have been the end. So unfortunately, the acid had time to rise, which is a bit of a time loss. There we go. The worm is down, and now we can just go back towards the our original position to head towards Craid. this missile take on the pillars is also one of the items that you just have to remember that you need to skip, since in any percent in Ondo, it's just right in front of you. There's no need to not pick it up in any way. So obviously you have to get under it, diving into the acid in low percent to actually avoid it, since you cannot jump over it. Killing these few flies on the spot, you actually refill his energy and all his missile counts. It's obviously the thing about low percent is that since you have such low health and low missiles, you don't really need to refill at statues, especially in this area, since there are a lot of enemies with all these flies that can die relatively quickly and are very generous when it comes to missile drops, etc. So it allows you to skip the statue heals at some points. This room with side hoppers and all these flies can be a bit tricky sometimes, especially if the thing is that you want them. Oh, alright, good decision from Scotty to actually use missile to kill the last side hopper. It could have been a bit dangerous for him. The way we want. Yeah.
I decided to farm a bit right before Craid, just so that I'm not in any dangerous situation.
Yeah, that's definitely the strat. The thing is that he actually wanted to use the ice beam to freeze and hope that most of the side hoppers would freeze, so he wouldn't lose as much health as he expected to, and then take the drops from the eye door that's in front of Kraid. But yeah, it was such a low health and low missile count that it was just worth to actually go onto the other room and farm. So Kraid in low percent, again 15 missiles to kill. He's going to try to put as much damage as possible into Kraid before the third phase. Kraid's third phase makes the platform that Scotty's staying on just disappear. Kraid will break it with the spikes that he's throwing. So he actually wants to deal as much damage as possible right before the third phase, then make some missile drops spawn it right in front of him to try and finish him in one cycle of missiles. But this is a strategy: just keep as many missiles as you can, and then make spawn a few missiles by destroying these little things that Kraid is throwing at you, and then fire on those cylinders. So I think that's what he's looking for right now. Alright, 2 missile drops, that's very good. Alright, that's actually how you want to kill a Kraid on the last phase. Very good. Ooh. What is going on? Alright, we're back. So you guys did not see it, but actually the thing that you have to do in low percent is that you actually have to enter the speed booster room, since if you don't do that, the gray door that's behind you will just not open. So you have to enter it, but obviously do not take the speed booster. And it's one of the things that is usually quite hard to remember, especially when you're starting the category. You just killed Craid, you just did a fight that might have been a bit painful and a bit hard to do. So you just want to take that speed booster and get out of Craid, and then you realize you're in low percent, and you have all you've done so far was just completely useless, since the run is technically invalidated due to the fact that you picked up one of the items that's one of the extra items that you technically cannot take. Good climb of this room. Other things that you could do is actually take the ball cannon to get at the very top of the room, but good movement and good use of the charge beam, the ice beam, sorry, allows you to make it out quickly. So now 65 energy and 3 missiles. Scotty might actually opt to heal. I don't think he will take some drops yet. He will not have any more enemies on his way, or at least not enough to refill. So he's going to take that statue right here and then heal, since we're about to enter probably the most painful area when it comes to low percent. Tourian and all these Metroids is going to be quite a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a quick save at the beginning of Tourian.
Yeah, definitely.
Just for a bit of safety. You can die very quickly if you're not prepared.
It is not low percent, so you have a chance of survival since in low
It's not
percent
hard mode, you mean?
Oh yeah, hard mode. Excuse me. In hard mode, if you get grabbed by a Metroid, you just do not have time. Even attached, you don't have time simply because you will take so much damage that your bomb, even if you dropped it first frame, just will not have time to explode. But in normal mode, you actually have time to just get onto the floor, drop a bomb, and you might survive with 15 to 20 health or something like this. So the problem with Tourian and Metroids is simply that 11% hard Metroids do you die damage. Exactly. People have the reference. Very nice. So the thing is that every single Metroid takes 5 missiles to kill, and every single time a Metroid will give you 2 drops. But every single drop only gives you 2 missiles when they are missiles. So you will see Scotty actually, you see, he just gets 4 missiles despite the fact that he had the best RNG, so you will have to kill all of these little rinkas that are coming out of the walls and get missile drops from them. Which is why it can be such a very frustrating area, simply because you want these little rinkas to drop you these missiles while you actually have to keep the Metroid frozen. And a double large health coming out of this Metroid. That's one of the things you want to do as well. Don't get hit by the rinka. Simply, as I talked about earlier, when you're not at full health, the game will prioritize your survival and drop your energy. So if you're not at 99, you have a very high chance of Metroids just dropping you health drops. And then it's even more frustrating when you're at full health and the Metroid drops you double health, so you have to farm these rinkas even more. And as you can see, this one is not being very generous for Scotty, but there we go. Here's a missile and all 4 missiles coming out from the Metroid drops.
We had pretty good RNG coming in, but we're not having very good RNG anymore.
Indeed.
Sad to say.
So far, nothing too dangerous. He handles the situation very well, keeping the Metroids at distance. And then since the Metroid, he just dropped him 1 missile and 1 energy, he still needs 3 missiles to get rid of this Metroid, and this is where the RNG factor comes into play. As you can see, these rinkas just...
Not dropping anything today.
Yeah, this is very, very bad.
Come on.
There's basically nothing you can do about it. The thing about RNG in this game depends on the moment where you kill enemies and also their position in space, but it's not something that you can just manipulate in an RTA speedrun. I guess you could try, I don't know, to take a few steps back to make the rinkas move a few pixels and pray that you just did RNG manipulation in RTA, but it's not really something that you can say, hey, it worked. It's just you did something and, well, RNG helped you at this point. This room that Scotty is right now, I do remember it being one of the most RNG heavy, simply because it's not hard. Metroids are very apart from each other. With these little platforms on your way through, but you can see there's only 1 rinka spawning in here, and I don't know if it's real, if it's just my impression, but missile drops in this room are terrible. I feel like they never come. Oh, whiffing a few missile shots, unfortunately. Ooh, that's a ballsy move, dropping all the way down. Although using this Metroid to actually keep the other one behind is a very nice strategy.
Not what I normally do, but it works.
Sometimes you just have to adapt on the spot on low percent. You cannot really stay to your textbook strategies.
Oh,
although you're that's kind of an awkward situation right now, not gonna lie. Yeah, you guys saw him just do a little wall jump on that left wall to actually make the screen scroll up a bit and make a second recap here. This room is really sucks. There are not a lot of Rinkas, and they are absolutely not in your favor. That's insane. I think that's why low percent is really, I'm not going to say, but definitely not popular into the ZM communities because of the RNG factor that comes along Tourian. I feel like it's a lot of fun when it comes to boss fights, especially things like Mecha or Craid. But yeah, the RNG factor that comes on Ridley and the Metroids is definitely something that can frustrate a lot of people. And it definitely turns to be an X factor when you're going for PB attempts. That's something that we cannot deny. Also, one of the things I should mention, you can see Scotty is just not waiting for this Rinka on the left wall to get out of the wall. But for some reason, when an enemy is inside the left wall or a drop is inside this wall... Oh yeah, do it, Scotty, do it. Come on. There we go, very nice.
I really wanted to show that off. I just figured that out
I completely forgot that you wanted to do that. I'll come back to my point later. So what Scotty just did is that he used a little glitch that we call hover glitch. When you're standing on a frozen hitbox and you actually drop a bomb and unmorph at the very same frame that your bomb explodes, the game will actually consider that you're just infinitely falling, which is one of the glitch that can be used at we'll use a bit later. This one was just for pure showcase, since he could have just destroyed the bomb chain, but opted to do a spin jump and just fall through the block, which is definitely something cool. Not necessary, but very cool to watch. So now Scotty's going to tap Zeb Skip, which is a thing in Zero Mission, believe it or not. It's not as massive as it is in Super Metroid, but in any percent and low percent, it definitely has some impact, especially if you're able to get it consistently and on the first few attempts. Unfortunately, Scotty's not having the best of executions on it so far. Yet again,
that's one way to put it.
I'll say that you were unlucky. There we go. You had it. So you have two things to do: is basically freeze the Rinka at a perfect position, because if you're too low, you will not be staying on it, since it's right into the platform, and if it's too high, your head will just bump into the upper part of the Zebetite. And then you actually have to drop the bomb and unmorph at the very precise frame the bomb explodes. So it can be very tricky. And as you guys can see, the third Zebetite actually did not spawn because they work by pair, and when you kill the first, the second, the third appears, and when you kill the second, the fourth appears. So the fact that we actually skipped the first allows us to just go through and not having to deal with the third Zebetite. Zebetite can be very tricky since every single of them requires 7 missiles to destroy, and we obviously have only 5, so what Scotty did was to keep all 5 missiles on him, and then praying for a few drops. When he had the drop on screen, he would shoot 2 missiles, pick up the missile drop that will just put him back at 5 right away, and shoot all 5 missiles he had to get rid of it. And now against Mother Brain. So Mother Brain, you need 55 missiles, 20 missiles that you can farm very easily in the first phase, simply because there's when you can just stay on this platform, it's a safe spot. You're not afraid of Mother Brain since she's not out of her glass yet. But there we go, 20 missiles for the glass, and then you need 35 missiles into her eye. So there's a safe spot right here. You can stay at the very edge of this platform, right in front of Mother Brain, and since you're not into the lava, she will not close her eye to shoot you. Yet, at least. But every single time, Scotty will just kill these two Rinkas in this specific position to take the drops when they're coming, because so far they're not being very generous. There we go, finally a few of them. You will just grip the side of that platform, then come back onto Mother Brain's platform. Very good adaptation, very good backup. It is not necessarily dangerous, but if you actually take a hit from Mother Brain and you're unable to make it out of the lava, or if you have bad luck at this very moment with the turret shots and Rika's patterns, it can get out of hand very quickly. very good use of the ice beam to freeze these Rinkas, even where they're a bit out of sync. He still manages to get the pattern he wants. Also, you can see that he's not at full health, but he still gets a lot of missile drops, simply because in Mother Brain's room, I don't think it's the case when you're against the Zebatites, but when you're against Mother Brain specifically, the chances for you to get missile drops are actually increased. It's kind of like the opposite. When you will be at full missiles, the game will start giving you health.
Yeah, if the RNG had been more like it has been throughout the rest of Tourian, I'd have been there for 20 minutes. So we are very grateful that missile drops are at an increased drop rate during the Mother Brain fight.
test. Can you guys hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so there was a little problem. Okay, all right, we're back at it. No problems. So Suitless is just very, very consistent because there's not a lot of RNG. The only bit of RNG will necessarily just come at the end of the area when we'll fight the mini boss of this. And you might have explained this already. I don't really know, but the pirates' movements are just depending on your movements. So as long as you're doing the same thing every single time, they will have the same movements. So you can manipulate them in a certain way. This room that Scotty is right now can be very, very dangerous since this wall jump, you cannot jump too high. You have to let the pirate just jump onto this left platform first, and then this following room. You have to time your stunning shots very, very precisely to just get through them. Yet again, even though you're one shot for multiple minutes and pirates are already and constantly chasing you, Suitless is definitely not the hardest and the most dangerous area of low percent. Since when you're doing personal best attempts, or at least want to aim for a good time, whatever the category is, you will not, or you might not heal at Suitless, so you will be at 99 health no matter the category. So it's usually something that players are used to. So now Scotty is done with all the pirate section, waiting for this little cutscene to finish, and now he's going to fight against Charlie, one of the most RNG heavy boss of the game. But obviously in low percent, again, no matter if you're in low percent or 80%, it's obviously going to be the same. Very good first phase. Basically, the only thing you have to do is just wait for this little sigil to appear on Charlie's mirror that he's holding. And then when it appears right here, oh, very nice. These first two shots were actually pretty quick. You have to shoot it with a charge shot. Good third shot. So far, Charlie has been pretty generous, if I may say so myself. Oh, unfortunately, that was a bit of a miscalculation, but... Oh, good. Very, very good shot on that fourth one. He could have tried to run under it and use diagonal, but opted for a straight jump and then shoot right in front of him. Very, very cool. And even gets the little cutscene glitch, so usually Samus will just get stuck on spot right in front of the armor, but you can just try and turn around, and if you're spinning, or at least turning around while the parachute is appearing right in front of you into the wall, you can try not to be completely stuck into this cutscene, and there we go. You can shoot and having a few glitch shots right after the cutscene. So now the game says that we have our fully powered suit. Well, technically, yes, it is fully powered, but we're definitely not in a comfortable situation. We're obviously much better than when we had no suit, but you guys saw on this little menu that popped right after we got our suit back, we don't have a lot of items. So the thing is, yeah, you only have the only new things that you have are Varia suit, because yes, we did not take Varia suit, but the game gave it to us. We have obviously space jump, but space jump without high jump is kind of tricky, honestly. You don't jump very high, you have to press A a lot of time, or at least like 2 or 3 more times than in the category where you have high jump. And then we have gravity suit and plasma beam. So plasma beam is obviously our main source of damage right now to get rid of all these pirates. The fact that we have Ice Beam obviously helps because every single time we'll hit a pirate, even if we don't kill it, he will at least be frozen on the spot. So you saw Scotty taking a refill simply because he was only down one missile. To get out of this little section into the Chozo runes, there are 4 missile blocks that you have to destroy anyway, and then there are even more missile blocks later on in the Space Pirate mothership. So taking a refill there was absolutely mandatory. Oh, okay, very nice dodge on these pirate shots. Could have been a bit dangerous. This big room with all the atomics throwing lightning at you can definitely be one of the most frustrating ones. Taking a safety safe midway through the ship simply because there are a few rooms that can be a bit tricky and a bit dangerous later on, so taking a safe midway through the ship at least guarantees Scotty not to go for a how can I say that? To just not do the entire ship again. And there we go. Scotty just used all 4 of his missiles right here, simply because in this room there are a lot of missile blocks that you want to destroy. And you saw him destroying 3 missile blocks in a row. And this room was the reason why, when you do low % hard mode, you need to take extra missiles or things. And yeah, there's a way. This is why we usually consider the low % normal being at 10%. But there's a way, 10% hard, excuse me. But there's a way to do 9% hard. It's only doable on the European version though, because there's a room where there are 2 missile blocks that you have to destroy and then allow you to continue your way through the ship, but you have to go back to get more missiles. And these blocks do not respawn in the European version, although in the others they do respawn, unfortunately. So whether or not you're going back to refill, you are still stuck. But on the European version you can do that. But 9% hard is something that at least hasn't been done in a run. I know it's been done, but it's just more stupid than anything, mostly because of Zebatites. If you guys remember, Scotty every single time had to make a, oh, I want to see this room though. Yeah, taking it safe. Oh, very nice dodge.
Yeah, very safe, but everything went pretty well.
Yeah. So far, you're still on pace for to beat the estimate. You guys need to know that 1 hour as an estimate is definitely something that Scotty can deal with, but getting sub 1 hour in low % definitely is not an easy task, simply because every single time you will die, you will lose multiple minutes. So getting sub 1 hour does not require a deathless run, but it definitely requires a lot of good RNG and execution throughout the entire run, especially when it comes to boss fights and into the Space Pirate mothership. Dealing with all these pirates on your way through is definitely something that can be hard to deal with, especially when you're trying to go fast. So now he's about to fight against Mecha Ridley. I don't really remember. I think it's 20. Yeah, Mecha Ridley will take 28 missiles to be destroyed, and this is actually a true boss when it comes to low %.
Yeah, Mecha is definitely, I would say, the hardest part of low %.
Yeah, it definitely is. So again, what you want to do is wait for Mecha to shoot missiles at you, then you can destroy these missiles to get missiles from them. How ironic it is. But Mecha really deals a lot of damage. He can touch you with his missiles. These missiles deal 40 damage every single time they hit you. The most damageful part is this claw that he's holding right in front of Scotty right now. If you're not into the corner and crouching, the claw will hit you. So he has to be crouched right in front of the door permanently, otherwise this claw can hit him. And these lasers are the most annoying part, simply because, oh, unfortunately, yeah, you can see that he stood up just a bit too early and got hit by this claw. Making use of the space jump to kind of bait the lasers at the top of the room. Ooh, I think the damage from that missile might have saved him, but yeah, he actually got touched by the laser. The lasers of RNG, and okay, nice dodge. If they come onto the door, you have to morph and get away from it. And if you have very bad timings, Ridley can just shoot missiles, shoot lasers, and try to swipe at you at the very same time. One of the things that Scotty is doing is actually keeping a missile every single time to kind of push Mecha back and make sure that these lasers are not going to bother him. Mecha is definitely a stressful boss in low percent. You're at the very end of your run, and it's again a lot of RNG. And then that's a kill. Very well played, Scotty.
Thank you.
Deathless Mecha Ridley is definitely
very
a challenge.
Some close calls right there.
Yeah, a very stressful fight. He was going very hard on you. Oh, that's a cool door bomb as well. I like it. So now onto the escape. Again, we don't have a lot of items. Oh yeah, one of the things I should mention as well about Ridley's health. Ridley's health, or at least Mecha Ridley's health and damage will be the same, except if you are at 100%. When you're at 100%, he will do triple damage. No, he will do double damage and have triple health. But whether you're between 9 or 99%, it will always deal the same amount of damage and will have the same amount of health. Good clip through this pirate. Frozen boxes are a bit broken into this game. This room can be very frustrating with all these atomics firing, lighting at you. So, yeah, waiting for them to just shoot and then move is the smartest decision. Because yet again, even if we have a 40 power suit, gravity suit only divides the damage by 2, which means that every single time a pirate hits you, you will take 50 damage. And Scotty, he doesn't have time, as you guys can see. He just damage boosts through this pirate, and his health left down. So if he takes another hit, he is dead, basically. Having to wait for the work bot definitely is the funniest part of this escape, obviously. You can just have fun jumping and shooting as much as you want.
There's pretty much nothing that you can do to speed it up at all.
Except if you have missiles from the left from the mecha fight.
Yeah, which unfortunately I didn't get anymore.
Nope. Getting rid of this red pirate into the tunnel and then luring the black pirates at the top of the room. Just like in any percent, there's a safe spot when you can just wait, and when you shoot them, they will just try to shoot at the opposite wall for some reason. And there we go, time. That's a GG. 57:24. That's a very, very good time considering you actually had a death and very, very hard bosses, to be honest. Under the estimate, that's a big GG.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at how bad the RNG was in the run.
Yeah.
All my practice runs were like 51, 52. A lot lower than that. I just got really, really hard luck there.
Yeah, Tourian was very, very was definitely not kind. Ridley's was okay. Craid was okay as well. Acid Worm was a bit tough at some points. But yeah, Tourian was definitely the where you lost the most time due to RNG. And then that Ridley fight, you definitely played it super well. But I can tell you that at least watching your world record from yesterday to actually see if there were other strategies or thing I had to prepare for this marathon definitely made me want to come back to the category. So maybe one day I'll give it another shot and I'll definitely try to go for sub 50. I'm not saying that I can beat your time yet, but
I hope so. It's a very underrun category.
yeah. We need more new runners than anything, but if we cannot have new runners and at least have the two of us trying to compete a bit for the top spot in this category would be something funny. But yeah, that's definitely a thing that when it's on top level and you have good RNG and it comes to the kind of execution that is required to kill Mecha Ridley, as you guys saw. Mecha Ridley is a very, very intense fight. And there's a lot of adaptation on the spot. You have to react to the missiles, you have to react to the beams, etc. Always keep a missile on you to push Mecha back. These are the kind of fights that can make low percent fun, in my opinion, because of how dangerous it is and how adaptive you have to be instead of just following a textbook of you shoot 6 supers and boom, Mecha is dead. Alright then, so now that the low percent normal run of Metroid Zero Mission is over, you will still have some action with Scotty as he's about to run Metroid Original on the NES, and he's going to do the 100% deathless category, so you will still see some gameplay from him, but it is not my field of expertise, so I'm gonna bail out for now. So
all right, thank you very much for commentating, instructor.
Well, thank you for the invitation. That was a nice run to commentate. That was cool to see the category that actually almost got me into this community originally. So that was very cool to go back to the roots. All right, good luck on your next run, and see ya, everyone.
All right, thank you.